All right, folks, welcome to Gun Owners Radio, FM 96.1, AM 1170.
The Answer.
This segment is sponsored by John Dillon and the Dillon Law Group. If you have legal matters that involve firearms, then you need to call Attorney John Dillon, especially if you have questions about red flag laws, gun registration, gun transportation, or maybe you need to know that your gun are California compliant. Call our trusted firearms attorney. That's John Dillon. John Dillon specializes in California gun laws. You can call him at 760-642-7150, or you can visit his website at dillonlawgp.com. Hey, folks, how would you like to learn to become a better self-defender with John Correa? Now's your chance at Cover Your ASP, or Cover Your ASP Week in San Diego. And if you're a San Diego, Riverside, San Bernardino, or even Orange County gun owner, remember, check your email for a discounted code. Early bird discounts have been extended through the end of the year. Training makes a great Christmas gift for that gun owner in your family. Links to register are at gunownersradio.com website. And you can hear me now. Tune in, or if you can hear me now, tune into your YouTube live stream at youtube.com/gunownersradio. And please hit the like and subscription button to support our show. I even wore my San Diego County gun owner shirt.
That's fantastic.
Two other people missed the memo.
Well, the memo I got was stop wearing T-shirts.
Who told you to stop wearing a T-shirt?
Management.
You look stellar in a T-shirt.
And you wear that shirt well enough for us anyway. So.
I know. I got to sit up. I got to bend it just a little bit. Okay. So cool. So what do we got today, sir?
We had our 10-ring night shoot last night.
You did.
It was awesome. We got our 10-ring members out in a private outdoor range.
No kidding.
Got to we had a cool little event. Everybody showed up. I did a safety briefing as always. We got to shoot on steel for a while, and then they catered it. It's this really delicious caterer. This beef lamb thing. It was really, really delicious. And by that time, sun was down.
Little chilly.
It got a little cold. But they had night vision goggles for us to try.
How'd you like that?
It was awesome. You ever used night vision goggles?
No, I don't think I have. No.
Have you ever, Dave?
Oh, yes.
Really? Where did you?
United States Army.
Oh, really? Oh.
So I doubt the quality is what you had last night.
That's when they had tubes in them, wasn't it?
No, they didn't have tubes. But I know I drove into a ditch using it, so
tubes.
They weren't as good as that you had.
They were amazing. It was truly, if you've never tried it, it was really amazing. It was seriously like looking at a high-definition black and white TV.
They weren't green?
It wasn't green.
That's where I come from, the green world.
It was amazing. I put them on. You'd look down. I was looking down this valley, but it was pitch dark. Couldn't see anything. And they put them on, and boom, I could see like leaves on trees in the middle of the night, and you could see houses and boom.
And it was crystal clear?
It really was very, very clear. Like I said, it was black and white, but it was like a high-definition black and white TV.
So all you military personnel out there that swore you'd never use night vision goggles ever again, there's a testament that you can. Because in the military, you had no depth perception. I mean, you could drive off into a ditch and not even know it. Everything was green and fuzzy.
No, this was, I don't want to say crystal clear. It was very clear.
Well, you could see to hit something, right?
Yeah,
target.
You could shoot with it. You could see your red dot. If
were they pretty compact or were they bulky?
The ones I had, there were a couple different people brought a couple different versions. The one I tried were actually connected to a helmet, so there were little goggles right in front. But it was really easy to get used to. Your field of vision was,
Did you try any of the other ones, or just that?
Just
one?
those, yeah. But it was amazing. It was really, really cool. But they had, people got to try shooting, iron sights, red dots, whatever, with these goggles on. Actually, all day was really cool because everybody, when we do these shoots, everybody brings their coolest gun, right?
Yeah.
So I got to shoot a 458 SOCOM, which a 458 SOCOM, if you haven't seen it, the bullet it's an AR, looks just like a regular AR, but the cartridge, it looks like a tube of lipstick. It's that big.
No kidding.
So a 30-round AR mag is a 10-round 458 SOCOM mag.
Ooh.
So if you look on a magazine, they're kind of staggered, right?
Right.
458 SOCOM, it just fills the whole thing. So I got to shoot a 458 SOCOM, and I brought my Kel-Tec out there that everybody knows I love.
Yeah.
And I let everybody try that.
Are you getting a new gun for Christmas? Called the SOCOM?
Well, I will wish. I know, right?
I just put it on your Christmas list.
Well, immediately, all my 30-round AR mags would immediately become 10-round 458 SOCOM.
And then you would comply.
I'd be, yeah.
I think you're halfway there.
What
do those run, roughly?
458 SOCOM? However much an AR is, I mean, they range.
So it's not stupid expensive.
No, it's not. You could actually, on your AR, you could buy an upper for $600 to, I don't know, $1,500, depending on quality. And you just slap it on your lower, and then 458 ammo is like $1, $1.50 a round, $2 a round.
Oh. Hold it right there. I'm only going to shoot you once.
But right now, well, that's the thing, right? I mean,
don't move, Mr. Deer. I'm only going to shoot you once.
With 5.56, 2 or 3 rounds at 50 cents, or 1 round with 458.
Yeah, when I heard that ammo's up to over $1 on some variations, holy mackerel.
It's crazy. We just had we did that, and that was fun, and everybody was really cool. You could use everybody's guns. And that was cool. And then we had a bonfire, and I put all the guns away, secured all the guns, unloaded, put them all away, had some drinks, told some stories.
Yeah, had a fire.
But then we had 2 shooting socials this week, and getting a hold of 9mm, because we had 10 students yesterday morning at the gun range San Diego, all women, and that was. The shooting socials that we do, it's not targeted. We just open it up. Hey, if you're interested, come on out. So 10 women found us and said, "Hey, we want to learn." So it wasn't like we targeted. It wasn't like a women's group or anything like that. And then today was Guns N' Moses, the Jewish shooting group, and we had 16, 17. But getting 9mm is very, very tricky.
I was going to say, and you were able to get enough?
Yeah, some of the local shops are helping me out, but they can't. They can't.
They can't get it either.
They can't get it either, and I certainly, it's not that they're charging more money; they're having to charge me what they're getting. I mean, they can't take a loss on it,
No, and you wouldn't want them to.
Yeah, and the thing with that stuff too, it seems to be up and down, because I'll go to some different shops and they'll have something one day, they won't have it the next day, and they'll say, "Yeah, we're getting more tomorrow," but we don't know what we're getting. It's always different.
The supply chain is totally disrupted. It's totally inconsistent.
Yeah, and that's what Ryan Peterson was telling me that too from Gunfighter Tactical about building stuff, just doing build-ups for rifles, because he said the same thing. The supply chain is just goofy. He doesn't know what he can get, when he can get it.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's the last shooting social for the year. I think I have enough ammo for at least the first few. We actually have 2 a month for the first 3 months, first 3 or 4 months of 2021. So as long as interest and ammo is there, we're going to continue to do them. But they were all kinds of fun.
Wow, that's amazing. Well, it sounded like
a lot of shooting this weekend.
Yeah. See, you got a
lot of learning,
and you have a lot of things put on your Christmas list.
Yeah.
Night vision goggles. I mean,
yeah. Lord, if you're listening,
I hope Santa is listening.
Yeah, I hope Santa, if you're listening. I need night vision goggles and a 458 SOCOM and
what else?
Ammo.
Yeah, ammo. I think you should put ammo on.
Ammo should probably move to the top of the line there. Oh, by the way, Mark Spector, good morning. If you're listening, he said he set his alarm, so he had to work late.
Oh,
and he set his alarm so he could wake up. So I said, all right, I'll say hi to you.
Jump on YouTube.
Yeah, there you go.
So
So hopefully he's listening. So good morning, Mark.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, the charity match is coming up, so you want to pair up with Mark, because Mark is good luck to go.
Are you saying this from experience?
Yes. People that pair up with Mark, DG.
Yeah.
Do good. Hey, we have some great news for you. We are so proud to welcome the National Concealed Carry Association as a 10-ring partner. NCCA exists to serve the Second Amendment community by providing a nationwide network of 2A advocates, offer elite self-defense and concealed carry training from the nation's top instructors, and provide rock-bottom prices on the best selection of gear and accessories. Learn more about them at nationalconcealedcarryassociation.com. All right, man, who's our next guest?
Next guest has been with us before, and we always get a lot of really positive feedback. In fact, some of our most popular episodes have been with Clint Smith from Thunder Ranch. Clint, are you there?
Yes, sir, I am. Thank you. How are you?
You doing great. Thank you so much for joining us. I got to tell you, we last time we interviewed you, we got so much positive feedback.
Yeah.
I mean, you already know that you're a extremely well respected, extremely well known in the industry. But I just wanted you to know our listeners loved hearing from you and know exactly who you are, and demanded we have you back.
Well, I appreciate it. Hopefully we can always kind of contribute something.
Well, you're doing a fantastic job. Now, a book just came out, Urban Rifle 2. Tell us a little bit about Urban Rifle 2.
The book is basically an upgrade, shall we say, or an update of the original Urban Rifle book, and this is 2. And then we just came out, I think, in the last couple weeks with the audio version. And instead of having somebody, we'll say from Hollywood read it, I read it myself. So we put a bunch of extra stuff in, like sidebars, and the reason, a lot of times you'll get some information like that, but you don't know what it's based on. So I did it, and it was fun. I'm sure the guy who edited it wasn't fun for him, but I had a great time doing it because I got to say what I thought and then give people the background on it too.
You're definitely not shy about saying what you think.
Well, yeah, the problem with it is everybody needs to sugarcoat everything today and not hurt anyone's feelings. And to be honest with you, there are some people that need their feelings hurt, if nothing else, just because they're stupid. So it's the way it is.
All right. So what does the term urban rifle refer to for people that don't know? What does that mean?
Okay, so the deal with it is it addresses like any rifle, but for that time frame that I started it in 1983 is when I first started teaching the class by that name. Urban Rifle basically is an AR platform. It diversified into other things. I mean, I actually have taken my own class using a single shot rifle just to show that I could do it. But in layman's terms, urban rifle is how to fight with a rifle inside what you'd normally consider to be a pistol range. And the same thing, I know that most police, qualifications, or a lot of qualifications for concealed carry are like 10 yards or 15 yards. But, and, the 70s and 80s, we were shooting handguns at 50 yards real regular as far as just for qualifications, like, just regular people. And, of course, law enforcement, too, because that's where my background came from. So it's how to fight with a rifle inside what you normally consider a pistol range. So I always want people to be able to control. You could use the word dominate, or however, I think you should, whatever the distance, the width of your car, the length of your car. 2 cars are better because it's better protection. And then the farthest distance you can see inside your house. And how I would do that is lay down a steel tape and then create that distance at the range. And then anything else after that, to be honest with you, is gravy. Somebody goes, hey, I want to hit a guy at 500 yards. I don't know why. If he was 500 yards away, I'd go the other way just so I didn't get, involved. I don't want to fill out the paperwork.
So this it's not about hunting. It's not necessarily precision, maybe what a lot of people would consider precision rifle work. This is, you're in a suburban area, you're in an urban area. This is for home defense. This is for self-defense in areas where frankly, most human beings live in the United States these days.
Well, the whole world becomes more urbanized on a daily basis. And you mentioned the word precision. And I think there are 2 areas that we address. All shooting should be precision shooting. All shooting. I don't care what it is. Okay. But in the AR platform, it's really critical that people understand that there are also a surgical application, because at 25 yards or closer, 75 feet, no matter what the zero on the rifle is. In other words, guy goes, I have it zeroed at 100. It doesn't matter. At 25 yards and closer, the offset, that's the difference between the height of the sight and the axis of the bore, are going to get people in trouble if they don't understand it. And that's probably one of the single biggest teaching points that I push people on really hard, is to basically do that and be able to do that on their feet, shall we say, at distances that you would consider to be like inside your house.
And the book talks about tell us a little bit more about the content of the book. Is it making the case that rifles are good for urban defense and self-defense, or is it more of a teaching book? Or tell us a little bit about the actual content. What are people going to learn in the book?
The content of the book, in my mind's eye, was so that people could literally take the book based on its size and everything, that they could literally take it to their range with them. And then if they, for example, let's say they wanted to shoot a brace kneeling position, or they wanted to understand reverse kneeling because it gave them more protection of cover, then this gave them photographs and all the information to do so. And it also, in the book, for example, stresses a lot about what we talked about, offset. So it's a book that you could, in theory, read, but it's also, in my mind's eye, a range manual. And all this sounds like a sales pitch, and I guess. But I can honestly say you brought it up. But the point of it is it's to help people that maybe don't always grasp what's going on. Because if you take comparable mediums, we'll talk about like walls inside your house. If you shoot, for example, 9mm, we'll say ball ammunition and a .223 round, if they go through exactly the same mediums, most of the time the handgun round goes through more walls than a rifle round. So the comparison is the 9mm is a, shall we say, a steel hauler loaded with steel, and the .223 is a Corvette. They both leave the road, going at the same speed and go through a bunch of trees. You already know the Corvette isn't going to hold up. So the thing that we like about the rifle is the velocity, because it's more effective. But we also, need to understand that people always go, oh, I should use a handgun. And then, we always get the argument about like, oh, well, shotguns are better. Well, there's no question. If you use a shotgun for home defense and you aim the gun and hit what you're aiming at, you're going to probably screw it up. But the problem with it is that with shotguns is people don't understand that inside their house, a shotgun is actually still a rifle because the pattern hasn't opened up enough. So if someone goes, would you use a rifle for home defense? My answer would be absolutely yes. If I lived, for example, in a mobile home park, I wouldn't want to use SS-109 green tips. It's a core penetrator. So in other words, now I'm starting to build custom cabinets with a chainsaw. In other words, it's not the right tool. And that's the thing that we're trying to get across to people.
Well, and that's actually why I bring it up. I'm asking you a lot of questions that I already know the answer to, because it is a sales pitch. I want people to read Urban Rifle and also Urban Rifle 2, because of what you just talked about. I think a lot of people have, they go out and buy an AR, they maybe take a class or two, but in my experience, it kind of sits in the safe, or they take it and it's kind of a cool, neat thing. To use your analogy, it's like it's the Corvette that just kind of sits in the garage and maybe they take it out on Sunday and and cruise it around. But this thing's not a Corvette. It's a hammer. It's a tool, and I think it's a very effective tool, and it's an extremely effective firearm. People should use it for home defense and for political reasons, for lack of a better term. Or for optics, maybe. Well, no, that would confuse gun owners. For political reasons, political opinions, I think a lot of people, look at the AR as, this exotic animal when really it's an extremely effective firearm. It's extremely good for home defense. And I think people should use it that way, which is, I was so glad to hear what you just said, but also you stress that point fairly frequently.
Well, I think the thing about it is when it comes to the rifle, people go, well, that's too much. I don't know what's too much when someone's in your home trying to take your life and your family's life. I don't. That would be the fancy lawyer word then becomes arguable. But I do know this, because you do it on a regular basis. There's a very high percentage, like a nominal 80% of people shot by handguns in hostile, shall we say, situations, even shot multiple times, survive. I think that I might be better to shoot one round well, effectively, and stop the fight, and the rifle's better, and there's no question, then shoot multiple rounds from a handgun, and now I have a lawyer attached to all these bullets that are wandering around through walls and buildings and apartments and everything else. So, people always go, well, the single biggest thing I would say about the rifles is that people don't carry their rifles. So they have and build rifles that are over the top. They'll have like a long barrel. They'll have like a heavy barrel. And I'm not talking about violating the law. And, if you get a 16-inch barrel, that's fine. But the deal, and people go like, well, we can only have 10 rounds. Okay, so you're telling me you don't know how to reload? If that's a skill set that you think you're going to need, then I already think that you and I both know the answer to that, So I think it's a very viable tool, and I think it can solve a lot of problems in a much more expedited manner. Do I want to use it? No, I'd rather not. I also have a fire extinguisher beside my bed, and I'd rather not use that if my house is on fire. So, at what point does the fire extinguisher and, a spare tire in your car, do those become paranoia? And so in my mind's eye, the rifle makes it a much more efficient tool. It simply stops whatever the problem is sooner.
Stops the problem sooner. I like it. So, we're talking with Clint Smith from Thunder Ranch, and we're gonna go to a break here. But when we get back, Clint, I want to talk to you a little bit more. I want to talk a little bit about some of the new courses you have to offer in 2021. But then I kind of want to do a quick fire. I want to get some opinions from you. Some of the more common debates from gun guys, and I want to just do kind of a quick fire,
girls,
and gun girls, quick fire. Which is better, this or that, and see if we can get a bunch of quick answers from you. That'll be kind of fun.
Go to YouTube and put Gun Owners Radio. Click on the subscription button so you'll be on top of it all, and you can see Michael, Joe, and I live for another hour and a half. Hey, the California assault weapon law makes it almost impossible to own an AR-style rifle. What is the solution? Buy a Cali Key for your rifle. Cali Key converts any mil-spec direct impingement AR-15 or AR-10 into a bolt-action rifle so it can have all the features without being considered an assault weapon. It's a true drop-in solution. No milling, no aesthetic modifications, and no turning off your gas system. Keep your entire AR collection intact at a price you can afford with Cali Key. Check out Cali Key at CaliKey.com. That's KALIKEY.com. And for those of you watching our show online, again, please hit the subscription button. All right, we're bringing back Clint Smith. He's from Thunder Ranch. Clint, thanks for hanging in there.
Hey, Clint, we were just talking about ARs in general and your book, Urban Rifle 1 and 2. And off air, Joe and I were here in the studio. We're just discussing before we move on. How many times there's all this discussion. Don't use a rifle for home defense because everybody is convinced it's going to go right through drywall and it's going to magically find its way to your closest neighbor. And how often? I don't know if you even know the answer to this or if you've seen statistics. I know that I've seen news stories where some gang member, sprays, a neighborhood or a house with bullets and people, unintentionally get hit. But how often, or have you seen statistics, that show a person defending their home with a rifle and unintentionally hitting somebody, like a neighbor because it went through drywall? Does that happen with any consistency? Clint?
Of a case of the round going through and hitting somebody like in that context. The biggest issue has been the people have been hit, like especially in law enforcement applications where people forgot the offset and they were aiming at one thing and hit something else.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as if you ask me, do I know of some case where someone shot a rifle for home defense that went out and shot a neighbor? I don't know of one.
Yeah, I think I'm not saying it's not important. I mean, penetrating a wall, hitting somebody unintentionally when you're trying to defend your life, extremely important. But I'm wondering if maybe we're overthinking this one a little bit. I mean, the gun community in my humble opinion, has a tendency to make mountains out of molehills pretty easily. And I'm just, especially with what you've taught, what I've learned from you, listening to and reading some of the things that you've talked about, I'm wondering if maybe we're overthinking that a little bit. And then an AR is, in fact, a fantastic firearm choice when it comes to home defense.
I think so. The one argument is people go, oh, the gun's too big, like in length. And I'll go, so one of the demos that I always do whenever I have a rifle class is when we get ready to do the tactical house, which we call a think house because I want people to go in there and think. It's not like a shoot house or a kill house. Go in here and think about what's going to happen. I back a student up against the wall with a rifle mounted up, and then I back up next to him and draw a handgun and put it in a viable fighting position. With a full-length rifle, you're talking about an overall length difference of a nominal 6 inches. And now, as you know, and I know they're probably not legal in California because I can't remember what is or isn't from one day to the next. I don't know how you guys keep up with it, but
neither can we.
With handguns, which are rifle calibers, okay, they're going to be even shorter. And then now, of course, you have this pistol caliber carbine argument going all the time. And I kind of go, well, if I'm going to use a handgun, I'm going to use a handgun. And, it's there. I mean, there's still a lot of decent choices. You guys would know better than I do, but, like I said, tried to allude to a while ago, people generally make the guns big and bulky and heavy, and they don't have to be.
Right.
For example, what we consider the bottom rung of the ladder, as far as that, would be an M1 carbine from like World War II, Vietnam, Korea, all that stuff. It's a 5-pound rifle. It shoots a 110-grain bullet, 1,900 feet per second. There are lots of different cartridge designs as far as projectiles. So, for somebody, I've had people go like, well, that's a rifle for the weak and infirmed. And I kind of go, oh, you mean like the guys that landed at Omaha Beach in Iwo Jima? They were really infirmed. So, I think that you're exactly right. There's a lot of stuff in the industry that I think people, they come up with, and it's something, and I don't want to start a firestorm, but as an example, this appendix carry for concealed carry, people go, oh, this is really new and innovative. And I go, no, it isn't. I can show you a holster that was made in 1880, okay, that was carried exactly the same way. You're still got the thing pointed at your crotch. The only difference is with a single action army, there was no round under the hammer, where with something else, you might have a round under the hammer, as an example.
So that's actually a really good transition to, I want to ask you a bunch of questions, get some relatively quick answers on some really, really common, gun debates. It's a good place to start with the appendix carry. But let's start with 9mm versus 45.
There's no difference if you don't hit the target. You have to hit the target. They've all worked, and they've all failed. You have to have proper bullet placement.
Excellent. Okay, Glock versus 1911.
It doesn't matter. For me, I've shot a 1911 for 50 years, so I'm very acclimated to the gun. I realize it's old and archaic in design. Okay, the difference kind of is the same thing. A guy goes, I don't have to reload as much. And I would go, okay, great. That means I practice a skill that's going to be really important in a fight, which is reloading, because I have a single stack gun compared to a double. I own both guns, and I carry both guns, a Glock and a 1911. I know that shocks people, but I do. I own them both. So there's no argument. I think it's what people are most comfortable with, what fits their hand. I do know that the smaller the gun gets, the harder it is for me to teach people to use the gun effectively, because people carry it because it's concealable and it's comfortable. And I think if you and I could ever find a guy that thought that carrying a handgun concealed should be comfortable, we should both punch him in the mouth. They're not supposed to be comfortable. They're supposed to save your life at arm's length. Yeah. It's not supposed to be comfortable.
Okay. How about AK versus AR?
I've been shot by an AK, and I've used an AR for 50 years. I don't want to get shot by either of them, and they both are very effective. They do different things. I think the AR, with the right setup on it, and I don't mean heavy, but I mean, for example, if you put a 1 to 4 power scope on an AR, it's much easier to mount. And I think if you use proper stuff like Black Hill 77 grain ammunition, We've stretched the gun to 700, and an AK, you can get hit at 700, but it's very hard to do it. I think the big area that everyone needs to concern themselves with is 0 to 300 yards. That's danger close. Your opponent doesn't have to have any degree of competency, but because of the ballistics of the two cartridges, all they have to do is point the gun at you, and there's the potential for you to get hit, so they're both effective.
Concealed carry versus open carry.
Open carry is stupid. Why would I play cards with my stuff facing the wrong way? And I got it. Somebody goes, the second minute. Yeah, I know. I read it. I read the Constitution. I read the Federalist Papers, and there's nothing in any of those documents that says anything about being stupid.
I like your analogies. You truly
true.
Are good at analogies. I like the why would I show everybody the cards I'm playing? I think that's great. Okay, Mossberg 500 versus Remington 870.
They're both solid guns. The Mossberg has a tendency to be a little bit better or different. And that being said, because it has a centerline safety, it makes it more ambidextrous, so it can be picked up by anybody, including someone who was injured. Where the 870, they both have twin action bars, and so they're both solid guns. I own both of those guns too.
What about boy? This might be a little. Talking about.
This isn't stump your nephew.
I know this is talk about mountain out a molehill. What about the 1911s? I think SIG makes one and a couple others. The 1911s with the external extractor. They started doing that, I don't know, 25 years ago or something like that. How do you feel about them changing the design with the extra? You know what I'm talking about? Or
I personally, I don't know why. I think SIG should stick to SIG pistols. People who do something really good, they should do it. I'd like to say that was true of Colt, and Colt would still be in business, but we know that that's not the case. But there are a lot of people who build, custom guns. So, for example, Nighthawk, and, there are different ones that build the guns the way that Browning designed them. It's guys that want to put a 10-round magazine in a 1911. If John Browning would have wanted the gun to hold 10 rounds, he would have built it that way.
Yeah. So, well, I really like, so you're very pragmatic. You're obviously very plain spoken. I appreciate that very much. But your opinions are all very pragmatic and aren't clouded by, passion or preference. I mean, you're obviously very passionate about your craft, but you're not
kind of black and white.
Very black and white. Like, hey, this is
this is what it is.
This is how it is, and I really, really appreciate that about your everything you teach.
Part of that is that I'm not being ugly, but it's one thing to just stroll through a gun store, doorway and just, hey, I want this, and oh, that's cool, and that. It's another thing if you have a class with 10 to 15 people every week, and you do it week after week after month after decade after 5 decades. It isn't even a case of being, I pick one over the other. I have personal preferences, but the deal with it is the people that I teach, it doesn't matter how I shoot when the class is over. It doesn't matter what gun I carry when the class is over. What matters is how they shoot and what they carry. And can they own the gun safely and responsibly without setting their leg on fire?
And so, all that, the pragmatism, the kind of, roll up your sleeves, down and dirty. Hey, look, this is how it is. Is fantastic. I think it makes you an excellent resource, an excellent teacher. But we just have a couple minutes. I really want to hear, why is this important to you? I don't mean from a pragmatic point of view. I mean, from a little bit deeper down. Why is gun ownership? Why is teaching people how to shoot? Why is this important? Why does it matter? Is it just another job, that you kind of do well and you get a paycheck? I don't think that's the case. Why does this make you burn inside?
I think there's a lot of people in this industry, our industry, your industry, my industry, that's exactly what they think. They're in it for the money, and they can kiss me right where the sun doesn't shine. And why I say that and why I'm adamant, and that did sound a little bit like ranty, but the deal with it is, this is what I believe deep inside. People who own guns will never be subjected to the whims of other people without their permission as long as they own a gun. That's why it's so important for us to keep the guns that we have. Now, that means we need to keep them safely and responsibly and, all the stuff that we already all know and all the little trip levers and stuff. But what it really comes down to is I have the right to defend myself. And it wouldn't matter if I lived in Ethiopia. I still have that right. Now, I may not have that signed off by the people who theoretically govern me. But then as long as I'm behaving, why am I being governed? As long as I'm not robbing, raping, pillaging, plundering, why can't I own a gun? If I'm not robbing banks and I'm not hurting anybody, why can't I defend myself and my family?
Awesome. That's Clint Smith from Thunder Ranch. Check out his book, Urban Rifle 2. It's out now. You can Google it, find it all over the internet. Highly recommend it. Clint, thank you very much. I appreciate you joining us. Thank you.
Thank you, guys, very much. I appreciate what you do.
We appreciate you as well. Hey, folks, Seal One is one of our newest sponsors, and this product will clean, lube, and protect your guns faster and easier with Seal One. Seal One CLP Plus is an all-in-one solution that cleans, lubricates, and protects. If you think your guns are clean, try using Seal One. It's also a natural, non-toxic, environmentally friendly. Seal One was founded by a Navy SEAL here in San Diego, and all their products are made in the USA. Seal One is also a strong supporter of SDCGO, San Diego County Gun Owners. So we are very, very proud to have them on board. Clean your guns faster and better with Seal One. Use the code GOR25 for a whopping 25% discount off your first order at their website, seal1.net.
That's awesome. GOR25, Gun Owners Radio 25 for 25% off on Seal One products. That's very, very cool. So our next guest is, he used to be Senator Joel Anderson. Now he's Supervisor Joel Anderson, right? Is that, when do we start calling you Supervisor, Joel?
On January 4th. That's when I get sworn in.
Congratulations.
Are you excited?
Oh, you bet I am. You know what? There's so much challenging our county, and it's all fixable. We've got to get past this COVID so that we can have a gun prom. It's been a long time since I've been to a gun prom, and I miss it. Any
prom at all? You haven't been.
Well, that's true. That's true, too.
So for everybody listening, there were, just to kind of recap, Joel was state senator out in East County, ran for supervisor. The mayor of Poway, Steve Voss, ran for supervisor. Both Republicans, both experienced politicians. We actually, San Diego County Gun Owners, picked Joel to endorse. And the reason we did so is because Joel has always been there and acted when we've asked him to. And we're very appreciative of that. When I say, he's always been there and acted when we asked him to, it wasn't that hard. It was stuff like, the gun show, speaking up when they were trying to get rid of the gun show, CCW, stuff like that. And we really appreciate that. Steve Voss out in Poway is a very good guy, but we decided that, hey, it's not just good enough to have good opinions on guns. You have to act. And Joel has always acted. Mm-hmm. So he won. It was an extremely tight race. You won by just over 200,000 votes, which is
just over 200 votes.
I'm sorry, 200 votes. Just over 200. Just by 200 votes.
I was too greedy, and I had 281 votes I didn't need. I won by 282. And you know what? If people say that having gun owners' endorsement doesn't matter, that's more than your support was more than the margin by which I won. So I'm deeply appreciative.
Excellent, and we're very happy that you got elected. What happened with the election? Talk to us a little bit about from March until just about a week ago. Just give us a briefing on how things went and why you think it was so tight.
Well, first of all, in the primary, it wasn't particularly tight. We had 4 people in the race, but I had over 400 volunteers, and then COVID hit, and we really had to shut down our operations, and we weren't able to go door to door like I'm known to do. And, I love the grassroots. I love knocking on doors. And with COVID, people were very nervous about it, and it would have been difficult to knock on doors. So we shifted our campaign. We weren't able to have the volunteers that we had before, although many people volunteered from their home making phone calls on our behalf. But over $1 million was spent against me, and in the primary, I was outspent by 3-1. And what we had was great people like gun owners behind us. And I'm a pretty outspoken guy. When they shut down access to our lakes, all our lakes are controlled. The recreational use of our lakes are controlled by the city of San Diego. And the city said, why are we opening up lakes like Barrett Lake and Lake Jennings and the rest when we're the city of San Diego? We should just focus on Miramar Lake, Otay, and I forgot what the third one was. Things that are closer or touching the city of San Diego. So we started a letter writing campaign asking the county to step up and make the difference. Hunting, fishing, boating, hiking, these are all activities that people don't do in packs. They're COVID approved by their very nature, and we thought people should have access to our lakes for their family entertainment. I mean, we're all cooped up. It's just crazy. And we generated almost 2,000 letters within a week. We did a press conference at Lake Murray, and a week later, the Board of Supervisors stepped up, made the difference. But they weren't going to do it. They were on record already opposing getting involved. And that's the problem. That's why I'm so grateful for the privilege of being in office. I'm not going to sit there and just roll over. We spend a lot in taxes. We play by the rules, and we deserve to have access to things that we pay for. And those lakes are one of them with our taxes. So I was really happy they opened it up, but it shouldn't take a letter-writing campaign to do what 99% of people would understand to be the right thing.
So you're going into the county board. It's going to be it's for the first time in decades. It's a huge shift politically, philosophically. It's a fairly big shift. I mean, we had Republicans, basically the same 5 Republicans for like 20 something years, but calling them Republicans is frankly a stretch for a lot of them.
Seems like a big shift.
So, but what just happened is Kristen Gaspar was not elected. There are now 3 Democrats on the board, I think for the first time in San Diego history. You and Jim Desmond are the lone 2 Republicans. We're talking about COVID. What's the plan? Like, how are we going to get through this? How are we going to get past this? What's your take on everything? What do we do from here?
Well, I think there's 3 things to keep in mind. One, I'm not privy to all the information that electeds have because I'm not in office yet. So I haven't seen all the confidential documents. 2, I think that it shouldn't be confidential. When you're having such a huge impact on ordinary citizens' lives, they should be at the table. And elected officials should be as transparent as possible. We saw that the newspapers and TV sued the county to get information to where these outbreaks are. And the county withheld it, and the judge ruled that if they were to release this information, that the damage would be nobody would come forward and get tested. So it's set like that. Well, 3 days later, then the county outed a church, and they've outed additional churches. So wait a minute. It's not okay to out a liquor store or a big box store, but it's okay to out churches. See, I just look. Everybody in East County, we don't want to get other people sick. We certainly don't want to kill them, but we also understand that there is no business model that I'm aware of killing your customers makes it a sustainable model, right? I mean, no restaurant's going to open up with the notion that, hey, let's kill as many people as possible.
Maybe an Undertaker.
So this, well,
yes,
that's been pointed out. Thank you.
Bad joke.
But
go ahead.
The bottom line, though, is let's start with the premise that everyone's trying to live by the rules.
Okay, so if you were going,
if you can't be arbitrary, we've got to apply it equally.
If you could wave a magic wand, how do you think this should go from here, with as far as COVID shutdowns, all that other stuff?
Yeah, well, I reached out to one of my colleagues already, and she's doing a board letter with me, and we're going to have some open hearings where we're going to take public input. We're going to take a public input. We're going to listen to the experts, but we're not just going to listen. It's going to be available for every San Diegan to participate in. I think the more eyes on this problem, the better chances that we have great outcomes. I don't want to venture to say that it's all bogus because I don't have all the information. But I shouldn't have to try to figure out whether they're using medical science or political science to solve COVID. I should know flat out. In fact, every citizen in San Diego County should know that they're using medical science, and everything they do should make sense. But this notion that I can go into a big box and yet I can't go to a mom and pop store.
Have you been
that we can't eat outside, but I can be in a big box?
Yeah. Have you been watching the pressers with Dr. Wooten? Oh. We out of time?
I thought for a minute that you were going to say Dr. Fletcher. But okay, I've seen some of that stuff, but that's just not transparent enough.
Yeah.
Telling me what the numbers are.
I think it's horrible.
Telling me what the cause and the plan is.
If we had Joel, actually, we got to get going. If we have more time, I was going to say, how do we stop her? Because I think her pressers have been horrible and her information's been awful.
All right, self-defense and emergencies can happen to anyone. And unfortunately, the justice system may not be on your side. And if you have taken training, then you know you should have coverage for the legal battle after you self-defense battle. While you protect your family and property, U.S. Law Shield is here to defend you 24/7, 365 days a year with a comprehensive self-defense coverage of an affordable price. Bad guys don't take days off, and neither does our coverage. Guess what, Gun Owners Radio listeners? You can get a free T-shirt when you join. Use promo code Gun Owners Radio at uslawshield.com. And if you're watching on YouTube, please hit the like and subscribe button. Sit back and enjoy the show. Why? Because Joe Germisi's coming up. How far will it go? The loss of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness.
So,
Good segue.
Yeah, here we are. Yeah, it was a great discussion off
air and now on air.
But talking about the restrictions. We're now 10 months into our 2-week flatten the curve restrictions.
Yeah.
There's real argument as to whether these things have done anything at all. I mean, there's arguments on both sides. I lean toward they haven't done anything, but that's still debatable, to be fair, I guess. But the thing that's not debatable is the tremendous amount of damage that's been done economically to millions of Americans because of this stuff.
Irreversible damage.
In some cases, yes. And there's a number of businesses that are closed that are not coming back. I just heard the other day they were talking about saying 10,000 more they're expecting across the country to close and through this next wave of restrictions. And, you got to remember but businesses, a lot of these businesses have been going on, about 25% of their revenue, since all this started, because they've been limited to 25% occupancy and this and that. And, especially the restaurants and bars and things like that, there's not a big margin there. And, I think this would have been over a lot sooner if, the people that were in charge were limited to about 25% of their income until they resolved this, because to me, just my personal opinion on it, this is no longer a public health thing. And I don't think this has been public health for a long time. This is political, and it's power and control. And so what I'm looking at is with the subject of the piece this week is, our rights are being nibbled away a little bit at a time. And the question is, okay, well, how far does this go? I mean, how far does it go until people stand up and stop this? And that's kind of the subject here, because we know as gun owners, that's a common tactic of the anti-gun side. You nibble away. You take a little bit, a little bit, a little bit. People don't do anything, and before long, you got nothing left. And that's what's happening with these restrictions. They attack our basic rights. The Second Amendment was attacked right off the bat. And remember, they were closing, gun shops and ranges and things. And it took President Trump to step in and say, oh, no, you can't do that. These are essential. But, I mean, they went right after that. The churches, we were just talking about that on the last segment, they still try to restrict churches. And even after the Supreme Court ruled against New York, out here, Governor Newsom is still doing the same thing. It's okay to riot. It's okay to loot. You can protest, but you can't go to church. And, these are fundamental rights that are being nibbled away at. The politicians that do this tend to ignore their own edicts. You've all seen the video of Newsom getting caught at the laundry. Is that what it was called?
Yeah, the laundry
very high
What was it
class
called?
restaurant,
The laundry room or something.
something like that.
Very high-end restaurant.
But I mean, and ignoring his own things while people are legitimately going under. People that own these restaurants that are closed because of this nonsense are starving and going under. He's out there having fun with his buddies. And, if you look at that too, and this is the other reason I say it's not a public health thing, it's just, if Governor Newsom, if he thought it was really dangerous, he would not do that. He would not have been there.
Yeah.
And what that's saying is they know.
Yeah.
It's just it's a power and control thing, and even the restrictions, are causing people to turn on one another, which again is another kind of tactic that they use. And you've seen the masked people versus the non-masked people, and there's some people that get violent. I linked in the article to like 10 different stories of people getting attacked for not wearing a mask, and I call both of them crazy, but. I said which the mask crazies or the non-mask crazies. Who's really crazy? Again, that's a matter of opinion. But I have yet to see somebody not wearing a mask yell and scream at somebody with a mask to take the mask off. You don't see that.
Well, hey, it seems it's turned into a virtue thing too. If you're wearing a mask, you're a virtuous person.
Yeah.
If you're not wearing a mask, you're not a virtuous person.
But seeing even back to the power thing, the governor in Oregon is encouraging people to turn in other people.
Yeah.
This is America. We don't do that kind of stuff here, but yet that's what you're seeing. And, you have that kind of stuff with what I call pandemophiles. It's the people that are all whacked out about this. And, it's just, I think it's a dangerous thing in the country.
Pandemophiles?
Yeah, that's my term.
Did you coin that?
I did. It's actually in writing now.
I like that. Pandemophiles.
So we'll see if it catches on. But those are the people that are obsessed with this and really afraid of it. Because when you see somebody, and the danger about this, the thing with the mask, for instance, is more, I think, of a conditioning thing. Because there was just a study just came out of Denmark where they specifically looked at people wearing masks versus people not wearing masks. And they could find no difference. The people with masks, and they looked at over 6,000 people, so it's a pretty reasonable study. But they found, I think 1.8% of the mask wearers ended up testing positive or getting sick, and it was 2.1% of the non-mask wearers. So, I mean, it wasn't...
Well, I think, and it's a little more nuanced. I mean, people, it's not a matter of do masks work, do masks not work. If you can stop... liquids from coming out of your body, then you're going to be able to, going onto someone else's body, you're going to be able to stop the virus that's located within the liquid from infecting the other person. However, it's not going to be perfect. I mean, these stupid gaiters that people get from REI, you really think you're going to be able to stop a contagious virus with these stupid gaiters? No. Now, if they said, hey, everybody wear a hazmat until this whole thing is over, well, why won't they do that? Well, because that's ridiculous. So shutting down the entire economy for 10 months.
Well, see, and that's what I'm saying. It's the mask is more of a conditioning thing. What it is, it's conditioning you to just listen to the government, just follow the rules. Like Dr. Fauci said, just do what you're told.
Yeah.
That's what the mask is. It's conditioning people to just blindly follow the government without thinking. I mean, when I see somebody driving down the road by themselves in the car with a mask on,
yeah.
I got to think, is that person thinking, really? I've seen people on motorcycles with masks on. I see people walking on trails, nobody anywhere around them. I had a neighbor mowing his lawn with a mask on. It's like...
Just today, I went and got gas, didn't have my mask on because I'm getting gas, I'm alone. I go into the store to buy a drink.
Without your mask?
I forgot because it's not normal to wear a mask. So it didn't cross my mind. I wasn't making some political statement. I don't want to upset the business owner. But a customer came in with a mask on, and he said, I thought we were supposed to wear masks in this place. And I said, my apologies. You know what? I didn't intend to come in here without a mask. I said, do you have a mask or do I need to go get one? The guy behind the counter said, don't worry about it. It doesn't matter. The customer with the mask then walks. We kind of both go towards the cash register.
Oh.
And I stood back and I said, go ahead. And he goes, no, it's all right. I said, well, I'm giving you 6 feet of space, man. Like, the social distancing thing, you're just about masks. You're not about social distancing. Like, we're trying to be respectful here. Mm-hmm. Are you just, being a jerk and calling me out? Or
did you just beat him into the ground?
Or do you really mean this thing? And what Joe's saying is, I don't really think these people really mean this thing. They're not really.
Well, no, but it's fear, though. Some people are really, truly afraid of this. And when people are that afraid, they some people don't think rationally anymore, and they don't behave rationally.
Yeah, but you don't. I mean, if you're sick, you're not going to go out. I don't think if you're healthy, and you wear a mask or don't wear a mask, if you know that you've taken your temperature like I do before I leave the house, and as long as I've got a good temp and I can smell and everything's working fine.
Well, you can actually not have symptoms and still be contagious. That's
so they say.
Well, that's what they say.
I mean, that's a debatable thing.
That's
too,
debatable as well.
But I mean, that's true of a cold. They're both coronavirus.
And I'm saying, I'm just saying, I think it would work better if people. This is America. If people were left to do it, to make their own decisions. If you're a business owner and you want to make everybody wear a mask in your business, I think that's great. If people decide they don't want to go to your business because of that, then they won't, and then you'll have to adjust. Same thing if you want to have people not wear masks in your business.
I agree with Mike. I think they're just testing the water to see how much control. And you're right.
Is that what Mike said?
I didn't say that. Joe said
you
that.
agree with me.
You agree with Joe.
Oh, okay. Well, I was at Albertsons the other day, and a lady was standing at least 20 feet back, and the guy in front of her wasn't even to the register. Hey, get your mask on. And I looked at her and I thought, wow, you must have a pair.
Yeah, let's see it.
I mean, why? Just be quiet. No one's bothering you. If you're concerned, wrap your head in your shirt or something. But I don't know.
At least people are standing up to it now. Because
I think you're right.
In New Jersey, they said the level of non-compliance with their contact tracers broke 74%. Last week. So 74% of the people they're talking to where they're trying to trace the contacts are refusing to talk to them. Oh. And they tell them that they're doing this because of a surge that was caused by Thanksgiving gatherings. And I'm asking, okay, if 74% of the people aren't cooperating with you, how do you know it came from Thanksgiving gatherings? Exactly. I mean, that's the kind of stuff that's going on out there.
I had a restaurant, where they were taking phone numbers.
Yeah.
And the guy gave him the governor's phone number.
There you go.
Hey, home mortgage interest rates have dropped, and if you're looking to buy, refi, or maybe considering a reverse mortgage, you need to call our local mortgage guy that you can trust. That's Chris Wiley at PRMI Mortgage. For nearly 25 years, Chris has been helping local San Diegans with all their mortgage needs. Give Chris Wiley a call at 619-722-1303, or just go to primeres.com/Alpine. All right, Joe Germisi, he's going to talk a little bit about gear talk, discovering gear at the range. I understand you learned something here the last week or two.
I did. I discovered a bunch of gear at the range the last couple of weeks, which, I'm always trying to encourage people to take their guns out and shoot them. They're a lot more fun if you take them out and you shoot them and you do things. And, at the range, it's interesting because I do these range safety officer shifts pretty much every Friday up at Alpine at the Lemon Grove Rod and Gun Club. And I now got regulars that show up for my shift. And it's funny because I used to laugh at some of the older guys there because they come and they talk more than they shoot sometimes. But I found that my friends were doing this the other day. They pull up and they come down, they throw some chairs out, and we talk for an hour before they start shooting. But
why not?
It's it's part of it. That's what I'm saying. This is a great hobby, the gun ownership thing. There's so many different dimensions to it. It's not all about concealed carry and shooting defense and this and that. There's a lot of stuff going on. And there's a lot of the social part to it. But going to the range, over the last 3 or 4 weeks, I've run into some things that were just really cool things that I'm going to end up picking up probably. And I was telling a while ago we looked at the Ruger GP100, the revolver that we talked about here.
Super nice.
And I found that at the range. I was working a Women on Target event, and the woman I was working with wanted to try a revolver. I did not have one. The guy next to me had, here, you could shoot this one. And I just shot it a couple of times before I had the student shoot it. And I thought, I got to have one of these. And, and that's where that came from.
Do you tell Santa?
No, I got one without Santa. I couldn't wait for Santa on that one. But there's a couple of other things, though. One of the things we were looking at is somebody showed me an angled foregrip on their for their AR.
Sure.
Which, I hadn't really seen one of those before. And if you haven't seen it, it's just a small piece of plastic that fits up near the muzzle end of your AR. But it gives you something to grab onto and gives you a really good grip around the muzzle or around the barrel. And just really neat. And it's, it's by Magpul. It's fairly cheap. And it was right there online. And I got one now. Now I can't
You're not going to have nothing under your
Santa.
tree. You keep this up.
Well, I still got a couple of things I didn't get though. But I did find a quick disconnect for my Red Dot sight. So that was something too, because when we were looking at the Black Hound optics, and I took my Red Dot off of the AR, put the optic back on it, and then someone at the range was showing me there's a mount you can buy that goes under the optic that's just a quick disconnect basically. And what's nice about it is you take the if you have your optic mounted to that quick disconnect, it's on the rifle, you zero everything in. You can pop that optic off, put something else on. When you put the optic back on, it stays zero.
You don't lose your zero.
Yeah.
Was it LaRue?
Yes, it was.
Yeah, LaRue has this quick disconnect for optics that you're describing, and it is fantastic. It's really, really amazing. There's no logical reason that you should keep your zero, but somehow LaRue has figured it out.
Yeah, and that's and again, I didn't wait for Santa on that one either. It's another one I picked up. What I haven't picked up yet, though, is the 22 cal conversion kit for my AR, because that was another thing. I was watching a guy at the range, and again, one of my regulars on Friday, but he's got his AR, and the conversion kit will convert your AR to a 22 caliber, which under normal conditions is a lot cheaper to shoot than a 223, and it's you're just dropping a bolt in. It takes 2 minutes to do it, and what's good about it is I was watching this guy. And, he's shooting 22s out of his rifle, but, he's doing all the mechanics are exactly the same. So the reloads, getting down behind cover, standing up, moving from targets, acquiring targets, all that stuff is all exactly the same as it would be shooting 223, except you're shooting little 22 caliber things. And I thought, wow, that's great. And
no flinch. You don't develop a flinch, right?
Nothing, yeah. And what's nice is you could do all the mechanics, plus you could do it shooting on the pistol side. I don't have to be on the rifle side shooting the rifle. Yeah. And I could shoot at the steels and do all that stuff. And that one may be Santa, because I haven't done that yet. I'm just waiting to verify. We're trying to connect here, so he's going to drop his into my rifle just to make sure it works. But, a lot of cool stuff like that. And if you don't get out, you don't get to see that kind of stuff. The other one, making my rifle compliant in California. I've tried a whole bunch of different schemes now. So the latest one I ran into was the Juggernaut Hellfighter, I think it is, which is, again, another nice one. And, I had Ryan throw that in for me at Gunfighter Tactical. And because I saw a guy at the range was showing me, how his worked. And because I was having problems before with the other system I was using with the magazine reliably staying in there. And so I switched to this one. This seems a lot more steady now. And again, it does.
What was the other one?
The other one, which was fine, it was a Cross Armory, the quick pins, and it was fine. It worked pretty well. I just seemed to have trouble with the magazine, keeping it adjusted. It would work on one magazine, it wouldn't work on another identical magazine. And I thought, now let me just try something else here, because while we're wrestling with this stuff until the lawsuit is successful,
there you go. You
got to have something on your gun. And I'm trying to find something that does the least damage to reliability as I can find, because the thing when you start playing with these guns to make them compliant, then you're reducing the reliability on them.
What mags do you use?
For those, I had just on there, it was just a couple of Magpul type mags for the AR. Yeah. So nothing special. I mean, I've got bigger ones, smaller ones. I had 10-round mags. I had the long 10-round mags that are pinned. I have old 30-round mags, but
yeah, I do. Well, that's the thing. All my AR mags are the old, like, government style metal. And everybody. I'm like, my mags are all dinosaurs. I'm a dinosaur now. Everybody's using the cool, Magpul ones, but I don't know. I've been thinking about. I don't know.
Yeah, it's just like I said. I
don't even have to go to the range to find gear. I just have to have a conversation with Joe, and
Joe will fill you in.
Now I have something to ask Santa for.
Well, and that was fun. It's like you were talking about on the break with the night shoot the other night, looking at the night vision stuff. When you go out, you see that kind of stuff. It's fun. I don't want to see that kind of stuff. That's expensive stuff, but all that kind of stuff. That's why you should go. You should shoot. It's a lot of fun. You learn things.
Yeah, the Blackhound Optics was there. I checked out their scope. He actually, Melissa got a scope. She's going to review a Blackhound Optics scope because she's a long distance shooter. But there was a lot of really cool stuff to see. I guess I already touched on a lot of it, but the best was that 458 SOCOM. That was smooth. Thank you, Gina, if you're listening, for letting me shoot your 458 SOCON. But so what do you? So did you pick up all that stuff? What's next on your shopping list?
Next on all that stuff would have been the conversion kit. I'm just waiting to see. There's no reason why it won't work on my rifle, but I'm picky like that. So Tyler from the range, one of the guys that comes and shoots, is going to bring his in, and we're going to just throw it into my rifle and shoot it for a little bit. And if it works there, that'll be the next.
What's your
next
AR?
one.
Is it
It's a Daniel Defense.
Defense. Mm-hmm. Wow, nice.
But yeah, it works great. I like it. I just the big goal this year is to shoot it more and to learn more, to be more comfortable with it, I guess.
What optic are you running?
Right now I've got a Trijicon red dot on it, which is great. I love that too. No problems at all with that. And now that'll be mounted to my LaRue tactical quick disconnect.
So yesterday I was talking to a couple of people about a red dot on my pistol. I'm a way late adopter, and I'm really nervous about that. But apparently the RMR is really, really great. So
these are the other things that we've been looking at, because a couple of the guys that come and shoot every Friday are trying out different red dots. So I'm looking at Trijicons. I'm seeing Hollow Suns. They've got a bunch of different ones, and I think I may try that on my Glock 34 first. I don't want to put one on the carry gun until I've made the decision, but I may throw one on the 34 and try it out, because once you use them, once you get used to drawing and coming up and getting the thing lined up the way it should be, once you get that part down, finding the dot, it's the target acquisition's a lot quicker, and people do a lot better with those.
So a lot of people I respect are going that way. John Correa is always talking about the red dot on the pistol. He says they're really fantastic, but it has to be hardy. It can't be made of China. I got to be able to drop it a couple times and not worry about it breaking. The battery life has to be outstanding, and I have to be able to leave it on all the time. Those are my three requirements.
Nothing that money can't take care of.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well, there's Santa.
Yeah.
Hey, our show needs your help. We live in a state where your self-defense rights are quickly eroding. Let us be your voice to help defend and restore the Second Amendment. Help spread the word about the fight. There's two easy things you can do. One, like and subscribe to the show on YouTube, Facebook, Parler, Spotify, the podcast, or whatever way you like to listen to the show. And share the show with as many friends as you can. And thanks for tuning in. And remember, together we will win.
Absolutely right.
All right. So, hey, have you heard what's happening on the San Diego City Council and in Santee? Recalls, recounts. Mike, tell us what the heck is happening on the San Diego City Council.
So, I don't know if you guys heard, but we had an election about a month ago.
Is that what that was?
That was that huge sucking sound.
Yeah. I was wondering what that was.
That was an
Up
election.
in Alpine, we heard this thing. What the hell was that?
And there's a lot of talk, obviously, on national. I mean, this is probably the most unique presidential election. It's pretty amazing, all 50 states. So I understand the focus, but there's a lot going on locally too. San Diego City Council. The City Council, San Diego has a strong mayoral system, which means that the mayor is kind of his own separate entity. Mostly on a city council, the mayor is really just a part of the city council. And some city councils, they just rotate. Hey, you're the mayor this year, you're the mayor next year. But in San Diego, the mayor is not really a part of the city council. There are 9 city council members, and they just elected. The makeup of the city council changed drastically in this last election. They elected 4 new people: Joe LaCava, Stephen Whitburn, Marnie Van Wilpert, and Raul Campillo. And Sean Elo Rivera. That's 5. So what they do is they get together and they elect, the 9 of them elect a president. Now the president is really just another city council member, but they also get to run the meetings and they get to decide what goes on the agenda. So it's a little bit of power, but it's also kind of symbolic. If you're the president of the city council, it's kind of symbolic. So what happened is what's referred to as the BIPOC crowd, the Black, Indigenous, People of Color, BLM crowd, whatever you want to refer to them as. They said, hey, there's one person on the council Monica Montgomery, who is black. We would like her to be president. She's been on the council for a while. We, symbolically would be, an accomplishment, somebody to look up to. It was important to them, to elect Monica Montgomery as president. And she had a lot of support from a lot of activists, and activists are they're the backbone of any political party, but particularly, these were the backbone of the Democratic Party. These weren't the donor class. They weren't the, organizations. These are the people that actually show up and make the Democratic Party move. So the council instead voted for Jen Campbell. Jen Campbell is another city council member, and they basically asked her, the activists asked her, they said, hey, we're looking for diversity. We're looking for, attention to the black community in San Diego. What do you have to say? And she told a story that I think is going to go down in political, especially local San Diego history, as one of the most ridiculous. She told a story about how when she was 8 years old, she found out that Band-Aids only came in one color. And it was like a kind of a peach. Well, you know what color Band-Aids are. Yeah. And that
they come in other colors?
Well, she basically told a story about how she went and found Band-Aids that were other colors for her friends that weren't white. And the activists went crazy, understandably, that she just kind of wrapped up the entire history of, Jim Crow laws and racism and,
into a box
bigotry
of Band-Aids.
into Band-Aids, into a stupid story about Band-Aids. So that set them off even worse. But they ended up electing Jen Campbell as the president. And people went absolutely nuts. And this Band-Aid story kind of went viral, especially amongst, activists and people that are paying attention to local politics. Well, the next day, Barbara Bree, who ran for ran for mayor and lost to Todd Gloria, went on KUSI and said, hey, we're going to start a recall. And she actually referred to Jen Campbell, the Band-Aid lady, as she said she wasn't intelligent enough to be the president of the council, that she sat next to her for a couple of years. There's no way that she's going to be able to do this job, and that she's bought and paid for by the police unions, the Chamber of Commerce, and other union representatives.
Wow. So
it's just amazing. Like, they're all Democrats. And I got to tell you, if you look at their votes, they're all pretty similar in what they believe. They all talk about, when it comes to COVID, when it comes to, Black Lives Matter, when it comes to all these things, they're almost identical. But, the Band-Aid story and boom, they're turning now Jen Campbell is racist, and they're going to recall her. And
so they want to recall her as a council member?
Yes.
And get rid of her just because the other council members voted to make her president.
Exactly right.
And she told a goofy story.
Exactly right. It is a firing, what do they call it?
Circular firing squad.
There you
That's
go.
Right.
A circular firing
Couldn't
squad.
happen to a nicer bunch of people.
It's almost like, 9 city council members in San Diego. Only one of them is a Republican, Chris Cate. The rest of them are Democrats, and a lot of these new folks got the support. In their defense, by the way, of the activists, the people that are mad about Jen Campbell, a lot of the new folks that got elected with the support of the folks that they just voted against.
Mm-hmm.
Their first big action in city council. For years, they've been saying, "Oh, vote for me. I'm going to I'm going to promise you the sun, moon, and the stars." Their first vote on what is mostly a symbolic position, the president of the city council, and they said, forget it, you're out. I'm totally ignoring you. Our first vote right out of the gate, I'm completely leaving activists in the dirt. But I got to tell you, I think that it's easy to just kind of roll your eyes and throw your hands up in the air, but I think there's a lesson for everybody to learn here, and I don't mean that to sound condescending. But, the first criticism was, hey, she's a racist, And that's the most common criticism coming from people that are generally on the left. They throw that out. Racist, boom.
Mm-hmm.
On the right, what do we typically criticize them? Well, they're communists. They're socialists, right? Now, if you break that down, okay, what are you actually saying when you say, hey, this person's racist? You're saying, hey, that person hates another person, for something they have no control over, something that was in their DNA. They have no control. That's not fair. That's not right. And we're all kind of have this kind of a
disdain.
Well, a disdain, but like a guttural reaction to that. I mean, that's horrible. Nobody likes a bully, And on the right, that person's a socialist. They're a communist. Okay, well, what are they really saying? Hey, that person disagrees with tax policy and income. Doesn't quite have, they're striking at an emotional.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's an emotional response because they don't have an argument. It's like, okay, we don't like this woman. She told a goofy story. Okay, but why? What really? Why do we want to remove her policy wise? What is she going to do as a council member that's bad for us? And there's nothing there. So she's a racist.
She's a racist.
That's the easiest way to do it. And that, unfortunately, has become acceptable in our society over at least the last 4 years, probably long. Well, no, because it started with Obama, really. And, calling people racist just because you disagree with their opinion or they disagree with you. And that's the easy way because you don't have to make an argument. You don't have to defend your position. You don't have to make a logical attack on their position. You just throw out the racist thing. And, since the media and everybody else has joined into it so vigorously now, it's like people are terrified to be called a racist. That's like the end of the world. And, it gives these people a lot of power, which is unfortunate.
Well, it does give them a lot of power. And it kind of goes back to the COVID discussion that we were just having where, it's a virtue thing, where they say, hey, that person's not wearing a mask. They're a jerk. They're a bad person, And what do? We immediately we start like spouting off statistics. Well, look, 99%. You know what I mean? We turn into an encyclopedia. Well, people aren't inspired by an encyclopedia.
No, they're inspired by emotion.
They're inspired by emotions,
Exactly.
So, I think it's not so much a lesson learned on, the specifics of the case. I don't know Jen Campbell. I know she's anti-gun. We've never endorsed her. I know she's voted against us a time or two. I'm not a big fan. I'm frankly not a big fan of many of the people.
I was going to say any of them.
City Council of San Diego. But I think the lesson is in communication here. It's in politics. Communicating on political issues.
Well, it's interesting. We had Dan Was on here last week. Yeah. The Good Gun, Bad Guy book?
Yeah.
And I picked up his book, at least the first one anyway. He's got 3 of it. It's a 3-book series. But pretty interesting, actually. And that's exactly what he addresses in there. The emotional, the emotional targeting that the anti-gunners use. And the response generally, because on the pro-gun side, you tend to be on the defensive right off the bat, and you tend to try to respond with facts and things like
Logic.
that. Yeah, and it doesn't work because they're playing that emotional
You
card.
got to tug on heartstrings. Now let's talk about hypocrisy. Let's talk about Santee. So Santee, we had Dustin Trotter on. We congratulated him on winning. He won by 5 votes.
Wow.
4 districts in Santee, 5 votes. Total votes for both candidates, about 8,000 votes. The Democratic Party decided that they aren't happy with that, so they are demanding a recount, and they're actually paying for a recount. So this coming up week, myself and some other members and staff for San Diego County Gun Owners are actually going to go down and observe the recount. Now, it's important to note, they don't expect fraud. They don't expect that there's any wrongdoing. The strategy is they're going to look for Dustin Trotter votes and try to discount them for technical reasons. You didn't dot an I, you didn't cross a T. Mm-hmm. Now, this is the same party that has been losing their minds for the last month over what's going on nationally, where Trump's demanding recounts. Trump's talking about, hey, I don't know if all these votes are legit.
Are they going to ask you guys to stand outside the room while they recount? Or?
They can ask all they want. I can tell you exactly what I'm doing. We're going to, observe and fight to make sure that they don't steal an election by, meddling with democracy and taking votes away from people. There are people, what they're looking to, these are people that actually exist in a free, fair election. They went and voted or, mailed in their vote, however they got their vote to the registrar. These are legitimate people. They're not arguing that they're not legitimate people, but these are people that intended to vote for Dustin Trotter. He won by 5 votes, and now the Democratic Party, their intention and their strategy is to take that person's vote away.
Right. And can you say, is that really surprising given what's going on nationally?
Would I sound stupid if I said I was? It's so
shocked?
It's so hypocritical that I'm frankly surprised. But anyway, that's what's going on in local politics.
Well, it'll be interesting if they have you already been authorized to go in and observe?
Tomorrow it starts. It's probably.
But you've been authorized?
Yes, 3 to 5 days. We're going to go in. Yeah, Dustin's crew and my. I'm a part of Dustin's crew. The Democrats are going to be there. And,
don't leave the building until they do.
Yeah, I hear you.
I'm serious.
I'm taking this extremely seriously, not because Dustin's such a good guy, not because it's such an important seat in Santee. I'm taking this seriously because the local Democratic Party is trying to take votes away from well-meaning, honest,
voters.
Legitimate people, right. And I think that is just about as deplorable as a person can get, and they're doing it on a systemic level.
Well, some might say if you show you can do that successfully at the national level, why not try it at the local level?
Wow, that's scary. By the way, if you have any questions, concerns, you can always send us a message to gunownersradio.com. Feel free to do so. Hey, we are so proud to have the Firearms Policy Coalition as a partner. Firearms Policy Coalition has been on fire, filing a ton of lawsuits here in California and across the nation to protect your Second Amendment. Together, we are working on all levels to restore your self-defense rights. So we need you to join Firearms Policy Coalition. People, there are making things happen. FPC just filed a petition for the Holloway versus Barr case to be heard by the Supreme Court. This could be the first Second Amendment case heard by the Supreme Court in over a decade. They need your help. Become a member today by visiting their website, firearmspolicy.org.
Yeah.
Now, before we go to Stump Your Nephew, you have a fan letter?
Yeah, we got a really cool letter from Ed Reed in El Cajon. Ed, if you're listening, thank you so much. We got your letter. Ed sent us a quick letter. I'm not going to read the whole thing, but he listened to our interview of Sheriff Bianco, and he's very, very appreciative. He said that he really liked the interview. He really enjoyed Sheriff Bianco's stance when it comes to pushing back against the governor who's trying to shut down the state here. Says he has incredible courage and said that Chad Bianco, the sheriff, is somebody that deserves San Diego County gun owners' support. And the other thing he did is he got a letter. He sent a letter to Sheriff Bianco and got a response from the sheriff. And it was a fantastic, nice little response, just kind of reiterating his position. While the governor's office and the state has threatened action against violators, the Riverside County Sheriff's Department will not be blackmailed, bullied, or used as muscle against Riverside County residents in the enforcement of the governor's orders. Anyway, I thought it was really nice. He just wanted to show us that hey, a fantastic politician responded to his letter, and he wrote the letter in response to the interview he heard. And also want to point out that there is a Riverside County Gun Owners, Ed, and Riverside County Gun Owners has a great relationship with the sheriff, and when he's up for re-election, I can imagine you're going to see a fantastic endorsement from Riverside. They haven't endorsed yet, but he's done such a good job, I can't imagine that going any other way. And there's also an Orange County Gun Owners, San Bernardino County Gun Owners. Just wanted to thank Ed and bring that up. Now, for the segment we've all been waiting for, Stump My Nephew with
Sam the Gunman.
What's going on, Sam?
Not much. How are you guys?
Fantastic. So, what'd you think of that letter? That was nice, right?
Yeah, it's always good to hear that you have so much support from the people who are members of the organizations and who may not be members but are supporters. And if you're listening and you're not a member but you support the cause, go out and join.
There you go. So every week I appreciate it. That's awesome, Sam. Every week, Sam, of course, is my nephew. He is 21 years old, and he does a fantastic job with gun trivia, we found. So every week, somebody writes in if we use your question on the air, we're going to send you a shirt. If you stump my nephew, we're going to give you a front sight membership. And that's basically training for the rest of your life. You can take any class with this membership. You can take any class they offer as often as you like. Sam is not prepared for these questions at all. He has no idea what we're going to ask. And without further ado, Joe's going to read you the question.
All right, so Sam, this is my big chance here to participate in the most popular segment of the show. So, are you ready, Sam?
Yeah, let's have it.
Okay, so this one comes from Karen in Riverside. So the question, the 30-30 Winchester cartridge has two 30s in the title. The first 30 indicates that the bullet is 30 caliber. What does the second 30 indicate?
Karen from Riverside, thanks very much for writing in. Now, 30-30 Winchester, or 30 WCF for Winchester centerfire, as it is sometimes referred to, follows an old sort of archaic American naming system for cartridges, where the first number is the caliber, and the second number after the dash is the powder charge in grains. So if you see like 4570 government or 5090 sharps or whatever, those old cartridges were loaded with black powder, so they had to have a lot more volume to get the same amount of power. 30 Winchester centerfire, or 30-30 Winchester as we call it, only has to have 30 grains of black powder to push that 150 or 180 grain bullet at some pretty substantial velocities, because it was one of the first smokeless cartridges to see a lot of use in sporting arms in the United States, and smokeless powder is much, much more powerful.
I like he doesn't even pause, to see if he gets it before he gets. Remember when he used to pause to see if he got the answer right, and then we'd get the dissertation?
Well, I think that pause was just part of the, just for us.
We didn't even get the pause
Didn't have
anymore.
to pause.
He just, Did you know the answer to that, Joe?
No, I really didn't. I might have guessed at that part, but I can't say that I knew that. No.
I knew.
There you go. Should be able to say that.
No, absolutely right, Sam. Excellent job, man.
Thanks very much.
How did you know that, by the way?
The way cartridges are named is so confusing and complicated that it really helps to, if you're going to be doing this for work, which I am, it really helps to know that background about how different cartridges are named and why, so that you can help people get the correct ammunition for their gun. Because a lot of times people don't really know a whole lot about ammunition. They'll just go like, here, this is what's stamped on the side of my gun, and they won't tell you the whole thing, so you have to sort of pull it out of them like pulling teeth, like, okay, what model is it? When was it made? Who makes it? Etc. But,
Well, Sam, are these some of these questions that we give you? I mean, like the 30-30. Are these things that you think about yourself and you go, geez, I wonder what this stands for, and then you look it up?
Yeah, that really is
just curiosity on your part.
Up a lot of this stuff.
Yeah.
As I went, I don't know the reason for such and such. I'd better find out in case it ever becomes important.
Yeah, since we put you on the spot every Sunday.
Every Sunday. Well, that's awesome, man. Well, on a scale of 1 to 10, how hard do you think that question was?
Well, it's kind of hard to gauge it, because any question is easy if you know the answer. So because I knew the answer confidently and had some background, I would rate that as a fairly easy question. I don't really want to put a number on it.
All right, well, that's fair enough. Hey, I shot a 458 SOCOM last weekend.
Oh yeah?
Last night.
How was that?
It was awesome. Have you ever shot one?
I have not. I would wind up in the next county, which is not as big a feat as it would be in California, but still, I don't have much body mass to put behind a 458.
So what's a comparable velocity? Like what if you were going to compare a 458? So if someone said, "Hey, how powerful is that?" What would you compare it to?
Well, the first thing I would compare it to is 50 Beowulf, because they're pretty similar cartridges. They're big bore rounds designed for the AR-15 that feed from a standard magazine as though it were a single stack. The case diameters themselves are pretty similar, and the load data, as I understand it, is roughly similar. They're both launching bullets of comparable weights.
And it was, if someone asked me how much it kicked, I would, problem is I'm, such a tough guy. I don't even feel that anymore. Like the recoil is, But
no bruises.
What was you?
No bruises.
No bruises. But I don't know. I think it was somewhere around shotgun level recoil. I don't think it was.
Did you like it?
Did I like it?
Yeah.
I loved it. I wanted
That's my
point. But it wasn't like,
Hit me again.
So, so I wanted to. I seriously would love to have a 458 SOCOM pistol.
Are you
AR
listening
pistol.
to this, Santa?
Yeah, Santa Sam.
Yeah, well, no promises.
But people keep telling me that a 458 SOCOM AR pistol would just destroy me or whatever. I don't know.
No,
I
it
think
wouldn't.
people again, we make mountains out of molehills.
Yes, we do.
I think I can handle
We
it.
do that well out here in lovely California.
Awesome job, Sam.
As always.
And
Thanks very much for having me on. That was a fun question because there's a lot of background
Yeah.
about cartridge nomenclature. It really is a deep rabbit hole.
You're telling me. Anyway, thanks you very much. Also, happy Hanukkah.
Absolutely. All right. All right, bud. Take care.
You too. Good night.
All right. Hey, folks, if you're listening on YouTube or you've been listening on YouTube or any of our podcasts, do us a favor and hit the like button and subscribe to it. And share the show with as many friends as you possibly can because that really helps us and our sponsors. Speaking of which, thank you to San Diego County gun owners, U.S. Law Shield, Cali Key, the Dillon Law Group, A.O. Sword Firearms Store, Firearms Policy Coalition, Seal One, PRMI Mortgage, and our newest partner, National Concealed Carry Association. And I really want to thank Michael Schwartz, Joe Germisi, Sam the Gunman, and tonight only, Max the Board Op. He's hanging on by the skin of his teeth. Go to thegunownersradio.com for podcasts and latest information. Be safe, and always keep your Second Amendment first. Right here on FM 96.1, AM 1170.
The Answer.